All right, I'm going to attempt another one of these points from this material that resembles quartzite. I called it a quartzite in the last video. Several people have weighed in, and this is probably a type of sandstone, or what they call a orthoquartzite, maybe. Quartzite normally doesn't have fossils, so it appears that this may have fossils in it. Now, it could be a coarse chert, right? But it resembles a sandstone. Now, the cortex, I don't know, the cortex is similar to chert cortex. But this stuff, in any case, since I don't know what this is, I'm just calling it a quartzite-like type of stone because of the way it naps. Yeah. And this kind of stuff keeps me up at night wondering, did I say the right thing? Did I call this the right stone? Because there's a lot of people out there that have a really good knowledge of these stones. I don't spend too much time learning these different stones. I just spend my time learning how to nap them. And this naps a lot like some quartzites that I've napped before. Almost exactly. And since I have a lot of it, relatively speaking, in comparison to quartzite that I do have, this is big compared to the quartzite that I do have from people that have given me quartzite. The stuff that they give me is about 2 inches or less, just little pieces of good stuff. And unfortunately, I didn't bring any of it to Texas. But I do have this stuff. So I'm going to attempt another point. This time it's going to be a little bit thicker. And I'm going to see if I can make a thick one that'll fit into this haft here, just so we can see how it looks. All right? Okay. And one of the things that keeps me awake at night is it valuable to know exactly what kind of stone this is? Or is it valuable to learn lessons from one type of stone and transfer it to another type of stone? It's not really that important to know what kind of stone it is. Obviously, the Native Americans back in the day, they weren't concerned with what it's called. They probably had their own names for it, but they just wanted to know if it napped. That's all that was important to them, as far as I know. Unless you attach some sort of ceremonial importance to a certain kind of stone, which I think did happen. But other than that, it's not that important. Also, can you learn a lesson from one type of stone and transfer it to a different type of stone? Yes, I think you can. As long as they're similar. All right. Now, I was looking at Hixton quartzite, but the Hixton is actually a silicified sandstone, right? Quartzite is supposedly, well, I think this is the definition. Quartzite is a metamorphic or a metamorphosed sandstone, which means it was altered by nature under extreme heat and pressure, but not too extreme as far as the heat goes. But it changes the crystalline structure. When you heat this up high enough, the crystals melt and then recrystallize to form quartzite. Orthoquartzite also is exposed to heat, but not as much as regular quartzite, and the crystals are smaller, as far as I could tell, on the orthoquartzite. This, to me, it does resemble a sandstone because of the size of the grains. It's just very grainy. Although it could be a silicified sandstone and not a quartzite that's been modified naturally by heat. It could be just strictly sedimentary, no heat alteration by nature, this particular stuff. But as far as nappability, I think we can learn from this on how to nap quartzite. Now Hixton, it does heat treat. I have napped it before. It's more delicate than this stuff, but it naps very similarly. I'm not sure if this will respond to heat or not. This stuff might respond and become a lot more consistent if heat treated, so that the darker areas that are easier to nap than the lighter areas become similar. You know, the lighter areas might actually nap easier. It's not quite like concrete. It looks like concrete, but you can nap through it. It's not that bad, actually. It just looks bad. And the edges, they feel a lot like the edges that I get with quartzite, with the fine grain quartzite. All right. So yeah, I lose sleep on this kind of stuff. I know it's silly, but I want to make sure that I'm giving you the good information and not just being too haphazard or too flippant about this kind of stuff, because there are people who have a lot of knowledge that watch the videos. So in my opinion, this naps a lot like quartzite. That's just my opinion. Okay. All right. Let's see if we can get a thick point so we can see what it looks like in the haft. Now, some of you guys have been watching the channel for a while. I think I already went over this before. Maybe not. But thick points, they can be utilized. And there's a bunch of thick points in the archaeological record, and you kind of wonder, are these actual points? I mean, do they actually work? It's kind of difficult to haft a thick point, right? So, are they just... are they made by newbies? Are they actually serious points? Intentionally made thick for durability? What's the deal? I think that they were made thickly just because it was easier. It was easier to make them thick, especially when you have a hard time thinning them down, right? Obviously. If you're using soft materials like antler and bone and tusks or whatever to nap this stuff, it's hard to thin it down, and it might not even be necessary. Okay. So I'm just trying to regularize it. I am installing some step fractures though that don't look too good. I literally woke up this morning thinking, I don't know, was that video any good? Can you learn how to nap quartzite by napping something that's not actually quartzite? It was bugging me. All right. Yeah, it looks like concrete, but it's not that bad. It's just kind of crunchy. Now, I've got a box of really tough stuff. I got one of these boxes of really tough chert that is just like concrete. It does not cooperate at all. I was going to try to nap that, but I'm saying to myself, I don't know. I don't know if it's that valuable to get out the trash chert or trash flint and knap that stuff. I don't recommend knapping it, so why would I be knapping something I don't recommend knapping? That kind of thing. Anyway, I've got to start driving in some thinning flakes here in a minute. I'm just trying to regularize it, not having much success really. So I've got to focus on thinning it now. Another similarity between this and quartzite is when you abrade it, it abrades very well and very quickly. So those grains, they come off easily. Now, as I was reading about quartzite today, I was doing some reading on it. It turns out that the heat and pressure that it's under cements the sandstone grains together, so that when you flake it, the shock wave is not going up around all the crystals and around all the particles. It's actually splitting these crystals and particles. So the path of the shock wave isn't like irregular and bouncing all around and going around each of these crystals. It's actually shearing right through them. So that's what makes it easier to knap. If the particles are cemented together well enough, when you strike a flake off, it actually splits these crystals or splits the particles. It doesn't go around them. The shock wave doesn't go around them. Okay? A lot of quartzite, when you hit it, it seems like you lose a lot of energy because the shock wave is actually trying to go around all these particles inside the stone instead of shearing them in half or whatever. It's not cemented well together. This one seems to be cemented well together, so that's why it's easy to send in flakes. Or relatively easy. It's not that easy, but I've napped some quartzite that was absolutely not cooperative whatsoever. And I think that's the reason that the particles are not cemented together very well. So when you try to flake it, shock wave is not straight. It has to go through a lot of obstacles, so to speak. All right. Probably hit that from this side. Let's see. Do the old smackaroo with a spatula tool. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, I think so. There's one. It does dive though. See how it tried to dive? That's a problem. I can lessen that lump. If I can lessen the lump in the middle, it's easier to run a flake. So I'm going to try for a flake across here. I might be able to get it with direct percussion if I just shape that edge a little bit better. So what lessons can we learn about knapping quartzite? I recommend starting with a piece that's somewhat of the shape that you're trying for, and somewhat of the thinness that you need, so you don't have to shape it too much. So it doesn't require much actual napping to get it to where you need it. Now I started with a thick piece, so I'm doing it the hard way. Let's see if I can do it with direct percussion. Did it work? It did something. Did not work. Let's try it again. With indirect. Yeah, I can definitely get more focused power into the strike with indirect percussion. So I'm going to try for bold flakes, and if it ends up being a little bit wonky, that's all right. Can't really control the bold flakes very well. Sometimes they scoop out too much. But we're just going to have to live with it. Yeah, this grinds very well. I'm wondering, yeah. Wonder if you can pick and grind this kind of stuff. Probably. Okay, so I was able to blast through that, just a direct attack. So I'll just do direct attacks, and I won't do anything subtle. I won't try to sneak up on it or anything. I'm just going to directly attack these thick areas. That was one of the hardest hits so far, and didn't do anything. Let's see. Let's try metal on metal. Okay. I lose less energy when I hit metal on metal, so that worked okay. So let's do that. My wrist is already feeling it. Okay. When that happens, I'm already feeling it in my wrist with that miss on the strike. All right, just so it doesn't get sore. I have a lot of napping to do. Okay. Can't get too sore too soon. I don't mind getting sore Sunday night before the auction because I take a break for a couple of days. Monday and Tuesday, I take a break from napping. Yep. Let's see. Am I actually going to be able to make something out of this? I'm doubting it right now. Well, I'm not hitting with metal on metal. Okay. That was the problem. That's the problem. Do I have another? I have another. That's a little bit long. Let's see. Alright, this might work. Okay. It's not the same diameter as the plastic. Plastic is in between these two. That's right. I'll just use this. I'm going to have to build up that edge and direct attack these lumps. Alright, which means I'm going to have to lose width again. I'm just trimming so I can get used to the billet. Flintknapping is so subtle, little things can throw you off and have a tremendous amount of difference in the flintknapping. Just not being used to the weight of the billet can throw off your napping to a large enough extent that you don't get any results. Yep. I'm wondering if I can hit some of that down. I am going to use the aluminum billet. Yeah, that's making some progress. Yeah, there we go. So I can get a purchase on it in different areas and eventually wear it down. I don't know. Using a metal billet really drives the energy through the stone. You're not losing much. I think that'll be good enough. think I'm gonna have to make it even steeper than that. Yeah, I know. How am I gonna hit that now without anything on this side? I'm gonna go for this side first. Then I'll tackle this one. Why? I don't know. Most of my abrasion on the gloves is from the abrader and not flakes flying off. So I tear up my gloves with the abraders mostly. If I don't keep my fingers away from the abrader. This is my last pair of my personal good gloves. I got a lot of gloves in the mail, so I'll be using those soon. Okay, this stuff really means business. It really does not want to flake. It does not want to flake at all. Okay. All right. Just do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results until you get different results. Right? Right. Come on. I can feel you resisting it. There it goes. As long as I can get a purchase on the front of some of those step fractures, as long as there's a little bit of resistance, it usually can remove a flake. All right. That might be the best I can do on that side. All right, now let's tackle the other side. How did they do this back in the day? They just tried and tried and tried, and whatever piece ended up working, that's what they used. They would probably hammer on this stuff all day with their hammer stones and antler until they found a piece of stone that would cooperate at least a little bit. Probably went through a lot of this stuff. And since it's very plentiful in some areas, it's not a problem to go through a lot of it. And it is variable enough that you can find pieces that are semi-decent. Yep. Just like the first one I was working on. This piece was semi-decent, but you can see the difference in color because this is closer to the cortex, this particular stuff. This is toward the interior where it's a lot more concrete-y. The thing with a heavier billet, it moves more slowly. I can't hit as fast with this as I can with the plastic, but the weight makes up for it. I'm not supposed to get those little step fractures near the edge. might be able to shoot a flake from down here up through there. Supposedly after I finish this side, if this side works. Yeah. I'm thinking a little bit ahead, maybe a little too optimistically. We shall see. And I'm intentionally working on a smaller point because these are even harder than the larger ones when it comes to this stuff. Which I can't have that happening too much. That's a radial crack. Yeah, I can't have that. And I'm going to have to strike further up. I'm going to have to strike much further up on the striking area. Instead of down here, I'm going to have to go up further. Yeah. That gouges out a bunch of edge, but I think that's the only way to get to that. Go up a little further. Yeah, it does gouge out more of the edge, but I think that's going to be the technique to use. Take a little bit more of a bite out of the edge. I don't like working that way, but this might be the only way. Not too much further to go to fit into the haft. No sense in going any further than what I need to fit into the haft. As far as thinness goes, you know what I mean? Okay. Higher up on the edge. Take more of a bite. Yeah, it's dangerous because you take a lot of bite out of it and you can crack the whole thing. But it might be the only way to do it. Yeah. Convexity, convexity. It's got to be convex. I don't know if that was convex enough, and that's why it stopped short. As it gets more narrow, it's harder and harder to remove these flakes because of the movement this way, but it's easier to go to the middle, so there's a little bit of a trade-off there. Yeah, so more of a bite on the edge with these strikes, and it gets thin enough. I think we're there, almost there, just a little bit more. Just a little bit more, yeah. A little bit high on the edge. There we go. Striking with the metal on metal. High up on the edge. Voila. Yep. Still thick on this side. It's not sitting in the haft either way. Yeah. It fits better usually in one way than the other. What I'm finding is this area on this side is too thick. Both these sides. I just need to take down one of them and it'll fit. So I'll probably take down this side. Looks easier. Besides, the edge is already further that way. When am I going to clean that off? I don't know if I'll be able to clean that off. A little bit high, but even though I was a little bit high on the edge and I still didn't do it. Let's see. Ooh, that was nice. That's probably too thin now. Yeah, I got more room than I needed on that one. It's okay to have a little bit of space for the glue. Yeah. A little bit high up on the surface. Give it some gusto. All we got now is that one lump here, and I got some edge I can use. Some of you might be saying, I don't want to make points like that. I don't want to make them like this. It looks nasty. But if you saw it in the museum as a real one, you'd think it was beautiful. Wouldn't you? You know you would. Yeah. You say, oh, that's such a beautiful quartzite. Or silicified sandstone point. So beautiful. But seeing it on video, it's nasty. Yeah. Yeah, high up on the edge. Metal on metal. Try not to take too much. Yeah, don't do what I just did, boys and girls. I was a little bit too aggressive there. But you can never tell. Yeah. We'll see. Okay, it's thin enough so we can just clean it up, or try to clean it up from here. Yeah, it's thin enough to go in the haft with some room to spare. I can trim it down so it'll fit nice and snug. The thing now is to clean up the top part and to fix all the nastiness. It looks almost insurmountable, but I think we can surmount it. I've seen worse, so We'll see. I mean, I've seen myself nap worse than this. Especially when someone gives me a piece of stone to try out. Can you try out this stone? I can't do anything with it. Yep, I'll try it out. Is that all you can get? Afraid so. In the museum, these look beautiful, but when you do it, it's nasty. Yeah, I know. Everybody goes to the museum with rose-colored glasses. They give them out at the front door. Yeah, everything looks rosy in the museum. When you go in, they give you the museum glasses, right? Don't they? No, you provide them by yourself. You bring your own rose-colored glasses. That's what it is. That's what it is. Look at all those step fractures. A lot of these quartzite points have the same shape, right? There is a reason for that, because this is the easiest shape, the teardrop shape. So the stone is telling me a little bit what to do here. Little bit. But I'm still trying to force it into the shape I want. But if I have to modify myself a little bit to get it done, I'll just modify a little bit. Alright, let's go for some dicey stuff here. Hitting into step fractures is not too productive in most cases, but I'm going to do it anyway. I want to clean it up. I cleaned up a little bit. See that? It's a little bit cleaner. Should I push my luck? Sure. Why not? Might as well. It's just a cruddy little piece of stone. that I got tons of. Yeah, but you were thinking you were gonna get to see a nice pretty point made out of this really, really nasty stuff. Well. Can't always get what you want, right? Some people don't like that. Some people say, no, I don't take no for an answer. I always get what I want. I want to see you nap then. I want to see you flint nap. Those people that get what they want, I want to see you flint nap. I watch flint napping videos. I watch people. I would like to see you get what you want from each piece. See how you do it. How do you coerce it to get what you want? I want to see it. There's not too many of those. There's a few. I gotta admit, there's a few people out there that get what they want from the stone. Supposedly. Ouch, that looks really nasty. I gotta admit, that looks pretty nasty. Yeah. But I clean up the edges so that, you know, at least they feel a little bit sharp. All right. Here we go. Next stage. So I cleared off most of the major obstacles. Mentally, I divide these into stages. All right. And this is the next stage. I gotta do the sharpening and regularizing of the edge so it will kill the antelope. Yeah. You didn't know this was an antelope? Arrowhead? Antelope killer? You didn't know? I didn't know either. Don't feel but too bad. There used to be tons of antelopes, herds of wild sheep and wild antelopes everywhere in the Southwest. I guess I could consider myself right now in West Texas to be part of the Southwest. You know where the deer and the antelope play. That's where I got that idea. Yeah. They play until we come along with these things, and then we'll get them. Yeah, they think they're having a good time on the prairie, but we're gonna mess up their good time. Yeah. We're gonna invite them to dinner, but not in a good way. Yep, the edge is going to be wonky. But you know what? You know what I'm going to say, right? I don't care. It's going to be a little bit wonky, but I don't care. Just please don't break off the tip. Don't make me break off the tip. It's gonna make me break off the tip. Yeah. So I just leave it a little bit rounded. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Just make sure there's no fat dull spots. Okay, so what's it gonna look like? I'm gonna take this down a little bit, make it flat. All right, let's make it flat. We'll put a stem on it. Okay. I can already feel it on my wrist still. Anyway, just subtle little discomforts. I mean, it's not bad at all. I mean, I didn't really injure my wrist or make it sore. It's just starting. Any little thing though can mess everything up. So there's not too much play in there, so I think that's good enough for that. It'll be seated well. I'm just gonna put a stem on it, and then we'll call it good. I'll put an easy stem on it. How's that? Easy peasy. So called. Only with percussion. How about that? Let's see if I can do it only with percussion. Percussion stem. Are you seeing this? Yeah. Is it working? I think it's working. As long as I don't stall it. Yeah, I think I'll be in good shape. Thin it down. Finish it off with some pressure. As long as I don't stall it, I'll be in good shape. Alrighty. One barb is higher than the other, though. Can't have that. Can't have one barb higher than the other. You might say, why not? It looks nasty anyway. What's the problem? It looks nasty anyway. Yeah, it does. It's super duper nasty. I can make the notches a little deeper. Yeah. So I gotta make sure that the stone is thin enough that I can go deeper in. So hold on. Almost there. I'm not there yet. Almost. Just need to install a few more step fractures and it'll be good. Yep. Alright, so here we go. Crunch and munch. But not too much force, because you know what happens when you put too much force. The barb just pops right off. It says, you know, you're going to make this too difficult on me. I'm leaving. Yeah. If you push too much pressure on me, I'm out of here. I'm going to quit. That's what the notches are saying. Or the barbs, I should say. You put too much pressure on and the barbs will just leave. They'll go, I'm not sticking around for this. I'm out of here. Yep. Do the notches need to be this deep? Well, the deeper they are, the better they hold on to the haft. Of course, you run more of a risk of snapping it across the neck with the deeper they go. But it does hold on to the haft better. Yes, 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 it does. Believe it or not. Did they care about such things? Yes, if the glue was not so great, then they cared about that stuff. If the glue was great, it doesn't matter too much. But I've tried all kinds of formulas of natural glues, and most of them are not so great. The asphaltum mixes are pretty good. And I say mixes because if you use straight asphaltum, it's not that good. It's too crumbly in most cases. Now, I'm pretty sure you can get the gooey stuff sometimes, the gooey asphaltum, the kind that floats on top of the water, I suppose. I've seen it. I've seen pictures of the kind of gooey natural asphaltums floating on the surface. That might be good glue. Good enough to hold it in without having to have any extra effort in the hafting. By making narrow notches, narrow necks with deep notches. See, the deeper the notches go, the closer they are to the edge of the wood, and that holds it better. Now this has got just the right amount of extension past the wood. It's like 1/8 of an inch. Yeah, that's about the most that I like to have, 1/8 of an inch, or like 3 millimeters or something. Let's see. Two and a half millimeter. So that's what I like on the width of the neck, about like that. And there's plenty of room in that haft, and it's not, the foreshaft diameter is not so bad that it won't penetrate, as long as you have a powerful throw. I'm going to take some of these step fractures off, or try to anyway, by cheating with the spatula tool. Did they cheat with spatula tools back in the day? No, but I bet you they tried. They tried getting that antler in there and tried to pop those out. And if they couldn't, I bet you there was some grinding going on. Grinding of the surface. To make it a little bit smoother. That's what I would do. world record. I did it in 1 hour. Yeah. Again, I don't have my grain scale, or I'd weigh it. All right, so it fits in there. Just a little bit of maneuvering room in there. If I were to take more off the base here, it would fit more snugly. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right, let's see. I bet you it's right at 3 inches. Ooh, a little bit under. 2 15/16. An inch and a quarter by, it's a half inch, almost a half inch. What is that, 7/16 by inch and a quarter? You can figure that one out. I can do it by millimeter. Yeah, that's better. 30 millimeter. Come on, focus. There you go. By 10. Yeah. Yep, 10. That's 3-to-1. Sweet. Quartzite, 3-to-1. Width to thickness ratio. Don't try for anything better than that. That's what I say. Because if you do, you're better than I am. Yeah, I don't want you to be making these better than I do. No. That's a no-no. See how wonky that is? It's because I took off a big, bold flake, or tried to right there. But it didn't work that great. It did thin it down a little bit, if I remember. So yeah, there's a lot of points that look like that. And some have straight stem, some have contracting stem. Yeah, some have no stem or no notches. It has a stem, but there's no notches. They just wrap it around without notching it, which works also. It's just not as strong as having some notches in it. Yeah, you don't have to put notches. You can just wrap it. Yeah, do I have anything to wrap it quickly? Where's my stuff? I had a whole box of goodies. All right. Let's see. I need to make this video longer than an hour so that we can run more ads. Yeah. All right, what do we got? I need some of this goodies. Just to give you an idea, I don't have any anything that looks like glue in there. Anything that could be substituting for glue to make it a little more snug. Well, I got an idea. Let's see if this makes it more snug. I'm just goofing around now, okay? Just bear with me. Oh, that makes it snug. All right, so this is what I'm gonna do. Tell you what we're gonna do. Since I don't want to do any napping right now, I'm gonna mess around with this. Where's my scissors? It's in the pile here somewhere. I just used my scissors not long ago. Where did I put it? You would think that I would just have it in my pile, but no. I used them like just before the video. Oh, there they are. Okay, over here. See, this is white glue from the special white glue tree. Yeah. You didn't know? Yeah. It is. What did I do with my point? There it is. Bad thing about having a pile of stuff is that you can't find stuff right away. It gets buried. Let's see the other way. Alright, so there's glue in there. Pretend that's glue to make it fill the voids. It fills the voids. And then we have to do a lot of pretending and pretend this is sinew. Yep. I don't need this. Hold on. That's feeling annoying anyway. Okay, so with fine thread, it's important to make sure you don't have sharp edges. So if this snaps, you know why. It's because the edge of the stone is not dulled. Now you don't need to dull the edges if your binding is thick, or if you have a big piece of sinew. Or rawhide. You can have these with the thin rawhide from various animals that have thin hides. Yeah. It doesn't always have to be sinew. But I got to be careful I don't cut the thread or put too much pressure while I'm wrapping it. Now a lot of these, what they do is they wrap over the top of the wood. I don't know why they do it, but they wrap over the top of the wood with the sinew or the rawhide or whatever. So that's what I'm going to do. Now I think what that does, it also helps resist the impact. If you look at the physics of it, what happens when you wrap over the top here? It resists pushing downward. Okay? And not only that, but it helps to create a better transition between the wood and stone. Because you can kind of fill that gap in there with a little bit of the binding. Of course, there's going to be glue sticking out, so just pretend there's some glue sticking out so there's a smooth transition. Okay? We're good at pretending on this channel. Now I'm wrapping it several times like this because it's just a thin thread. But what normally I would do is, you wrap and then you go around, and then you wrap and then you go around. Okay, you got to make sure you don't just wrap here. You make sure you go around here too while you're doing this. That way you've got some strength down here so it doesn't pull out. Yep. And then you wrap down about 1 inch. Or not even. Maybe 3/4. I've seen different lengths of wraps, but most of them are probably 3/4 to 1 inch. Or, they don't wrap too much down here. It's not like they wrap it way down. Like on arrows, sometimes they wrap it with a 2-inch wrap or whatever. But on these, I've never seen a little dart point wrapped really far down. I'm not saying they didn't, but I don't see it that often. All right, so that's it for this, right? I don't tie off strings. What I do is I put a little dab of glue, or I wet the string with glue, and just do that. Smear it, and it's done. Focus. So that's how I would wrap it with sinew or rawhide on this particular type of point. You center it. Center it so the tip doesn't move. Let's see. I gotta immobilize the shaft. You spin it like this, and you check to see if that very tip remains motionless when you spin it. There's a little bit, let's see. As long as I keep this immobilized, if you do it fast, you can see that the tip stays put. If the tip stays put, it's centered. All right. So there you go. That's how you have to thick point. That's how I would have to thick point made of quartzite. Very substantial. And then it tapers down. And then you insert that into a socket into the spear or a little dart. Yeah. The sharpness is not that great. You could probably put serrations in there and make it a little bit more penetrative. I don't know. Anyway, that's it. That's actually held in pretty good, even though there's no glue, but the glue makes a big difference. Okay. I need to take a photo of it, so. Okay. Clean that off. All right. There you go.